Fan subgroups force their own names onto the opening credits, often bigger than the name of the actual anime they're fansubbing. This is what size the actual company who made the show placed their own name. Here's how egotistical modern fansubbers are. They crowbar their own staff names into the opening animation itself, putting them over the top of the people who actually spent time working on the show. And the end credits too. Wow, Daktebio fansubs must be pretty important. Their name appears above the director, look. It doesn't exactly show a lot of respect for the anime, does it? Illegal fan translators are hardly as important as the people who drew and animated the show with their own hands. A professional DVD translation would never piss all over someone else's work like that. Yeah, that's the proper way to do it. Add to that distracting karaoke effect song subtitles of modern fansubs. Which often disappear as each word is sung, rendering them completely unsingable in the first place. Compare this old song fansub. To this new one. I can't even read that. Not to mention this kind of thing. Ah yes, classy, classy. Superimposing their own translations over the top of the artwork. That certainly wasn't there in the Japanese version, and neither was that. Oh, seamlessly integrated, seamless! It's as bad as slapping an English translation of all the alien words on top of Star Wars. If anime is art, then this is like going into an art museum and writing your own name across a Picasso. Or pissing all over it and then burning the remains. It's disrespectful, and again it's not done in professional translations. Proper subtitles do this. They don't try and make it look like their incredible translations are part of the artwork. Plus, it looks ridiculous. Why would a family have written sideways English on the traditional Japanese grave? And why would they carve an English translation into some wood? These famous names in translation studies say that the aim of a translator is to give the viewer or the reader the same experience as the original audience. Here's what the Japanese viewers saw on Japanese TV. And here's what fansubbers do with it. Western viewers are most certainly not getting the same experience as the Japanese if the screen is filled with redundant lines of eye-distractingly picture-blocking text. Anyway, have a look at this. I'm sure this scene was pretty atmospheric on Japanese TV, but not with 3 lines of subtitles all over it, it isn't. The singing scenes in Macross Plus are incredible. You feel like you're there, precisely because there's no atmosphere-destroying subtitles on the screen. There was a movie all about singing recently, wasn't there? Oh, and I wonder why they didn't do it like this.
It's for people like you that keep it turned on.
Avid movie fans would have been really happy with that. I don't care if it means the Queen's pants. Get it off the screen! This wasn't there on Japanese TV. If the Japanese weren't told what it meant, then the director didn't mean for them to be, and we shouldn't be told either. Yeah, thanks for that. What would we do without you? It's also highly doubtful that the director intended for his action scenes to be covered with 3 lines of subtitles. And Japanese schools don't have English translations written on every door either, contrary to popular belief. The result?
何ですか、キツさん。プリントの説明はこれからですよ。
受け止めるつもりですか？
は？
桃色係長です。
An absolute shit stack of conflicting text all vying for the viewer's attention simultaneously.
世界の敵、コントラムンディ。
An annoying fansub notes telling you things that the Japanese audience didn't see.
Oh? 今なんて言った？テランの分際で。
Yeah, I think we can work that out ourselves, you stupid mother f***ing fucks.
AX とやらもたわいのないこと。
And we're meant to find that out later, not now. I give up.
The rebellion will continue to gain a support in the Imperial Senate.
The Imperial Senate will no longer be of any concern to us.
What? It's no worse than what we just saw.
私はペンホイミン。愛と正義の新感覚癒し系魔法少女っす。
このクラスには普通の奴らはおらんのか。
こいつ、赤毛のアンかよ。
そうだ。あなたのことをなんて呼びましょう。
On an action scene especially, you need a plain, readable subtitle with nothing flashy. Like this well-drawn piece of beauty here. Top translation theorist Bertil Albrechtsen says that you should replace the Japanese metaphor or simile with a different one. This seems necessary and puts the skill of the translator to a severe test. Apparently, fansubbers now don't want their skills putting to a severe test. So they just leave it all in Japanese. Here's the official Escaflowne DVD subs. A pro translator finds ways around honorifics. Instead of leaving Kisama in Japanese, they get the rudeness across by writing an abrupt sentence. Hitomi's reply is less harsh to show the Anata reference. The views of top names in translation studies condemn the modern fansub method. The purpose of translation is to translate. It's not to say, oh, it can't be translated and just leave it in Japanese. Why didn't they write 7 glittering jewels or whatever? This series is set in a fantasy world. They're not even speaking Japanese. The opinion amongst anime fans now is that I'd rather read Shinigami than Death God. I'd rather read Daimyo than Feudal Lord. Translation scholar Nida would call this distorting the message to fit his own intellectual and emotional outlook. Indian, Korean and Chinese languages have just as many special meaning words and honorifics as Japanese, but guess what?
हमारे खानदान में तो जब बेटा इतने सालों बाद घर वापस आता है तो बाबूजी बाहें फैलाकर उसका स्वागत करते हैं। हमारे यहाँ भी ऐसा ही होता है बहू।
Translators find ways around them when subtitling films in these languages. German and French have separate nuances for male, female, etc., but guess what? You won't see them in subtitles of French or German films.
それと八神さん、茂木さんにライト君の行動を監視してもらってください。
Anime fansubbers are the only people who do this, possibly because they want a magical little language of their own or something. An amateur wusses out of translating, but a translator cannot do so. He has to choose one meaning, one interpretation. The possibility of giving an alternative in a footnote must not be used too frequently. We'll tell these people that. If you can't translate, then you've got no business calling yourself a translator. Yet fansubs now want everything to be as literal to the Japanese as humanly possible. Many even leave direct quotations in speech, even though it sounds completely unnatural in English.
勉強しなさいって嫌になっちゃう。私の人生なんだから私の好きにさせてよって叫びたくなるんだ。でも私、じゃあお前は何がしたいんだって聞かれたら、きっと何も答えられない。
Like Nida says, that if you pump out a completely literal translation, then it sounds like complete shit. Try this instead.
勉強しなさいって嫌になっちゃう。私の人生なんだから私の好きにさせてよって叫びたくなるんだ。でも私、じゃあお前は何がしたいんだって聞かれたら。
Old fansubs had much more natural translations. Fansubs now let people refer to themselves by their own names, even though this doesn't happen in English.
美和子ももうずっと会ってないんだ。だからね、美和子はてっきりキャロラインはヒロ君の恋人なのかなって想像しちゃったの。
A decent translation.
だからね、美和子はてっきりキャロラインはヒロ君の恋人なのかなって想像しちゃったの。
Like Albrechtsen says, the general necessity of restructuring the text in this respect seems to me indisputable.
あれ？嵐は一緒じゃないの？
ごめん、美和子がちゃんと誘わなかったから。
でも驚いたな。早坂と宮子が知り合いだったなんてさ。
A better translation would be...
あれ？嵐は一緒じゃないの？
ごめん、美和子がちゃんと誘わなかったから。
でも驚いたな。早坂と宮子が知り合いだったなんてさ。
何？この早いの。
Seriously, if that's the best English you can come up with, you may as well go and drown in a pool of your own making. For many fansubbers, if the Japanese says konna toki ni, then they think it has to be translated as even at a time like this, even though that sounds ridiculous in English.
そんなはずないんです。MIA だなんて。そんなはず。だから守ったよ、マシロちゃん。みんなの国。
Minna no kuni just has to be everyone's country.
夢を見ていたね。
And yume o miteta has to be you were seeing a dream instead of you were dreaming. The words may be in English, but the grammar is not.
受験頑張ってね。
あんなふざけたやつに。
このバカ力。
Because so many fansubbers believe that the Japanese must not be changed, you often see lines like you!
Even at a time like this! How could you to my father?
その人、今どこに？くそ。なぜここが？
Professional translators alter the words depending on what's happening in the scene.
こんな路上で戦って何になるんだ。
So instead of that guy even at a time like this, you can simply write why'd the bastard have to show up now? Here's one of the greatest anime ever to be ruined by a shitty remake.
痛い目に合わせりゃ喋るかなと思ってさ。
Jonathan Clement's translation is snappy and to the point, but many fansubbers would translate it literally like this.
痛い目に合わせりゃ喋るかなと思ってさ。
Or even worse, like this.